Now, as you clicked on this video, chances are you're struggling with your YouTube views right now, and you're seeing that flat line graph that we all hate on our videos, where it shows that YouTube was pushing it in the first 48 hours, and then suddenly it flatlines and YouTube is done. It doesn't want to push it anymore. There's something it doesn't like about it, but that's it. And it happens with all of your videos over and over and over. And maybe you're just getting started and you have to train YouTube a bit still, but maybe you're actually getting some success in the past and your videos seem to be getting fewer views now, and they all seem to be doing this flat line graph. They're just not breaking out of it. So what's causing this and what can we do to fix it? This is what I wanted to know myself, because I used to get hundreds of thousands of views on my videos, and these were videos from about a year ago. Now, I intentionally decided to get fewer views. I decided to niche down and to start going for more targeted traffic, as it was more better for me in terms of profit. I could monetize it in the back end. And I'm a massive believer that niche authority channels with a good back end can actually make you a lot more money. And it's much easier to make $10,000 or so per month. And this is fine as long as you are actually making at least 500 to 1,000 targeted views per video. But what started to happen after this was initially good enough is that recently we've started to see that dip even more. And now we're struggling to get above a couple of hundred views. Maybe over time they get bigger, but within that sort of first few days to a week, they're not really getting more than a couple of hundred views. And that's no bueno. That's just not going to cut it. You can't grow your business on a couple of hundred views, and it's just not worth the time that you're putting into your videos. And I can tell you now that these videos that I was starting to create were actually higher quality. More research went into them, a lot more effort and work and planning went into them, and to actually get less views than I was getting before, this is not going to work. So therefore, I needed to work out what had changed. Was it the algorithm? And it is to a degree, and I'm going to get into that very soon, and things that we can do to go against this. And also, we want to look at ourselves to see what actions have we done that might be impacting our channel. So you want to see what behaviors that you've done that perhaps combined with the YouTube algorithm shifts that we can look at to try and reverse so that we can start to get views again. So I started analyzing my videos on my channel that had worked in the past. I started tweaking things. I started to look for patterns. I started to see what other people were seeing. And then I started to break down the difference I was doing within my channel. And what we can see is that, especially now with the algorithm, it wants authority channels, but it also wants consistency in terms of your authority. So this is where people say you need to upload consistently onto the channel. You need to make sure they're uploading videos all the time. And this is important because relevancy these days is massively important. YouTube doesn't care about us creators as much anymore. It cares about the advertisers and it cares about the user's experience. So they want to give the users what they want. They don't want to reward us and incentivize us as creators. And that just sucks. But it is the reality, and there's not much that we can actually do about that. So therefore, you have to make sure that you're creating regular content. You don't have to do it all of the time, but you want to find a time scale that's going to work for you so you can keep creating content. Think of this like a baker's. Now, if I opened a bakery and I kept closing the bakers all of the time, or I kept running out of the bread that people wanted, and every time you showed up, they were either closed or didn't have the bread, what would you start doing? You'd obviously start going somewhere else. And maybe the bread that you go to in another bakery isn't quite as good, but you know what? It's good enough and it suits its purpose and they're always open and they're reliable. So therefore, they're going to give them their business. And YouTube is going to do the same. It's going to shift the attention and relevancy that you had and give it to other people. And I noticed this on the types of content I used to make and people moving to other channels and also other communities who used to potentially be customers of mine or used to watch my channel. So the attention goes in different directions if you do not give the audience what they want. So you have to be consistent. You have to also work out what is the main problem that you solve. What is the type of content that you create? So knowing that we have to keep making content for this particular person, or they're going to leave and they're going to basically go and find get their solutions somewhere else. But we have to make sure that we're also sticking to one particular topic. I'm going to get into that in just a moment. But I also wanted to talk about some data here. Now, data I don't think is making a massive difference because there are caveats to this. I see videos that go viral that have got great, terrible metrics, and videos that don't go viral but have got fantastic metrics. So really high click-through rates, really high watch time, and for some reason they just don't get pushed out by YouTube either. So I don't think metrics alone are very useful, but you do want to look at these in general to try and make sure that they are above a certain amount. Because what I have noticed is that if click-through rates drop below about 5%, even as YouTube pushes it out further, so initially starts with a higher rate, and then maybe that goes down as it pushes it out past your current audience and people who don't know you. I noticed that if it's starting to go a bit viral and then it dips below 5%, it starts to flatline. So we want to make sure that we're really thinking about the packaging in terms of the title and also the thumbnail, which I'm going to speak to a bit in terms of what I would do with this and the tweaks within the algorithm as well that are going to help you. And then 30% watch time. You want to aim for about 30% watch time on all videos. Again, if it drops below that, you're going to start to see tapering off, unless it's a long video, in which case it might give you a little bit more leeway. I do see it going down to about 25% for longer videos, can still go viral, but generally these are the sort of benchmarks I would aim for. So then coming back to consistency and picking a lane, this for me is a big one. I've spoken about it before on this channel, but we have to pick a lane, and I've struggled with this year. So when I was talking about what are the actions that you have changed, this was an action that I changed on my channel. So hundreds of thousands of views, suddenly not so many views. And that was me trying to fill many different lanes. So imagine if I was making videos on cats, and then the next video I make on dogs, and then the next one I make on insects. Now that's going to mix things up. So the first one with cats, maybe I get a great happy audience. They're really enjoying it. They love the videos. And then I make one about dogs. And okay, YouTube pushes it out a bit and it gets some new people, but less, because what happens is it tries to push it up to this audience and it doesn't work. Some may like it, but most potentially won't. So what we do is we split our audience. But then when we add another layer perhaps of another video, say insects, these are abstract terms, but you get what I'm saying, then suddenly the audience is even smaller because, again, it tries to push it out to this and it just goes no and no. So it doesn't get good feedback on your videos from the other audiences that you have. Now, we've known this for a while, but what happens is YouTube will push it out to a smaller and smaller amount of people because it doesn't seem to be doing well with these. And as relevancy is massively important these days, and the changes in the algorithm wanting more authority and to make sure that it's satisfying your audience, satisfying is really going to be the sort of key metric of 2026, I think. Then over time, your audience is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller as you're trying to look for that overlap between all of these different audiences. So yes, you could go, this is my red hot audience here, and maybe YouTube will find it, but it will get smaller and smaller and you'll be very general and it won't be red hot. So some people will just watch some videos and they won't watch others. And it confuses YouTube as it's not really sure what to do with it. And it confuses your audience because they're not really sure if this content is for me, if it's the type of content that I'm interested in. So we got to pick a lane. I was personally jumping around all over the place. My channel has about 3 to 4 different niches I was trying to tap into to find the overlap. And honestly, it was working for a while, but now with the changes in the algorithm, it's not going to work. You are going to have to pick a broader niche to try and get views within. So we also see that trending topics, and I can tell you that all of the videos that I showed you that did very well tapped into some type of trending topic. So I think this is what we need to be doing with our videos as well, making sure that we are tapping into momentum and where the eyeballs are going at any particular time. So for example, I'm in Thailand, and Thailand, many people that come here spoke about what brought them to Thailand many, many years ago, and it was the film and the book, The Beach. And that was what people were making videos and content on and talking about, and there was loads of different sort of merchandise and stuff around that. because this was a trending topic. It was something that was big, and it was a reason people wanted to go. People wanted to see that beach in the film and also, have that experience that was in the book. This is a trending thing, and when people spoke about that, everybody can relate to it, everybody's interested in it, and there's more of a buzz around it. So when things are trending, and this could be Christmas, it could be seasonal trends, it could be like with the algorithm now, everybody is talking about the algorithm on YouTube. It's a trend now. Don't avoid them. You have to speak to those current issues and that news. News topics is what's trending. Everybody is always talking about the news. Now, I'm not saying that you have to create stuff around the news, but what I'm saying is there's a reason that gets so much attention. Current affairs, current topics, and what's important now is relevant to your audience. So those are the things you are going to have to start speaking to more, which is why everybody's talking about the algorithm on YouTube right now, because there's been such a shift. But outliers as well, you may have heard of this strategy where we target videos that are working well for your competitors' channels. And they are normally a sign, a signal that a trending topic is happening. There's a trend within your niche and within your space. So try to look for the patterns of what's trending for different channels. And you'll normally see when people tap into outliers, you see channels will start to copy each other. But that's because they see the trending movement. They see trending topics that they can jump on. And I can tell you that all of these videos were me jumping on trending topics as well. So trends are really a great way for you to be able to get more momentum to push things out. But then with the algorithm shift now, we want to try to tap into the brain, and this is my picture of a brain. You want to tap into the mindset of the viewer. You have to get into the mindset of the viewer now, because AI is so smart and it's basically reading our minds, but it's reading our devices as well, and it's leveraging our devices and then a deeper level of thinking to actually understand what it is we want, what it is we need, when we need it, and what we're potentially thinking about in that given moment. So if it's tracking us across multiple devices, it knows what's in our calendar, it knows where you are on Google Maps, it understands the questions you're asking in Google itself, and it sees your behavior on YouTube. It can generally ascertain what it is that you need. So it's going to become a prediction engine to a degree of how you are, your emotional state, where your mind is, and what you actually need. So we have to do the same. No longer just creating titles that are sort of 5 of these, 10 of these, hacks for this. They might be sort of good for entertainment level stuff, but as an educator, they're not really going to cut it for us anymore. We have to get into the moment of that thought that they're having, and we have to speak to that pain or that thought within them. So let's use this video potentially as an example for this. So why your views flatline after 48 hours and what you can do about it. And then say a thumbnail like this with an arrow or something saying fix this or flatline or this problem and sad face. So we can see the graph. We recognize that. We feel the emotion. Yes, we do want to fix that. And that is probably using the exact wording that we think in our head. Why is my video flatlining after 48 hours? Why does this keep happening? So rather than me saying 5 ways to get more views, which is basically what I want from this, but it's not the question I'm asking. So if you get into my mindset and you put that video in front of me, I'm more likely to go, yes, why is that happening? I want to know. Show me. And that is us creating better thought processes. You know that maybe I'm not searching in that moment for that answer, but it's at the back of my mind and I'm thinking about it. So my subconscious wants to know that answer. So we have to answer that. But if I saw 5 ways to get more views, it's just a bit more general. Yeah, I want more views, but it's maybe there's not a degree of urgency. There's not an open loop in my brain that needs to get that question answered. So we have to be thinking in the mindset of our viewers and what it is they're actually thinking now, because the algorithm has gotten so much smarter. So those are just a few of the strategies that I'm going to be implementing over the coming weeks to try and get out of this flat graph hell. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you would like to know more about these YouTube updates and the algorithm changes that are happening in 2026, then I will link to this video, which I would recommend that you watch next, to basically see the main 2 things that you need to focus on in 2026. All right, I'll see you in the next one.